All right, man. Go on and tell people your name and where you from.
Man, it's Ray Vicks. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, south side to be exact, you feel me?
What up like for you growing up in Southside?
You know, it's normal shit like any other neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? You had the hustling going on, you had the, average working motherfucker, you had niggas out there thugging, hustling and all that.
What you think you learned from growing up in Southside?
And I could say the biggest takeaway I really got from just being in the South was like, we learned how to be tough at an early age, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't nothing that you ain't gonna not see when you out there in the hood, you feel me? So I could say it really made us grow up early, like, you know what I'm saying? Inherit the responsibility of just being a man. You know what I'm saying? Handling yourself, protecting yourself at all times. And then, most of all, not to trust people. Because it could be people that you hung with, go to school with, the same day they trying to fight you. You know what I'm saying? They throwing crosses. So, really just how to be a man and, how to deal with trust issues.
All right, what about your life you would like to tell people? What was your life like growing up?
Shit, my mom was a single parent growing up our whole life. Like, after about, I was probably about 4 years old when my daddy broke up or whatever. And I don't remember her being in no relationship, no real relationships ever since then. So it's been like single mother. She had 8 kids. Excuse me, my daddy had 9. You know what I'm saying? So it was always like, in the house with your brothers and sisters and shit. Doing normal shit, seeing normal shit. It wasn't nothing crazy though.
One of your brothers, Quincy, he ended up passing. You can tell us about that?
Yeah. See, that's my brother on my daddy's side.
Yeah.
But we was close, like, we were real close or whatever. But he was right up under me. Like, I think he like probably about 2 years younger than me. Yeah, like 2 years younger than me. So he grew up he originally from Port Allen. I'm from Baton Rouge, that's across the river from each other. And like, as he got like in his, I'm gonna say probably his mid-teen, like 15, 16, ended up moving to Baton Rouge, and he ended up coming to stay with me or whatever. And that we got even more closer, like him being around me and me having that big brother role, cause I was the second boy on my mom and my daddy's side, so I ain't had that little brother that I'm the big brother too. So it's like he my little brother. He following up behind me. So he seen the type of shit I was getting off into. But to me that shit normal, cause we come from, where we come from is a little more faster than where he from. So he probably like paying attention and catching on to certain shit, but he wasn't really in the streets like that, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So he ended up getting himself caught up in some type of situation with some dudes he was hanging with that I ain't know the little dudes he was with, but some dudes he was with, I don't know. I never got the full scoop because I wasn't there, and the people that he was with, they never, spoke on what really happened or whatever. I ain't seen them dudes in years, but from my understanding, they got into it, some dudes or something, and one of them pulled out a gun and shot my brother in the I think he got shot like in the shoulder, and I must have hit the main artery. He bled out, must have been on the scene or whatever. But that shit, that was like a real tragic moment for me. But I took it as in like, damn, like it ain't nothing that I ain't never seen before. But just being my brother.
That was your brother.
But that was 4 months after my oldest sister on my mama's side had just passed from cancer. So that was like, that what made it fucked up. Like, damn, nigga just lost their sister to natural causes. So your brother getting killed from like, being shot and killed, that shit hit harder. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, a nigga really took him. Like, you feel me? Like, you can't stop natural death, but you know what I'm saying? Just like somebody killing your little brother, you be like, damn, like it's fucked up. Like you thinking to yourself like what you could have did to provoke the shit, or you know what I'm saying? I mean, like to de-escalate the shit, prevent that shit from happening. But when it's a nigga time, it's a nigga time. But that shit right there really just like made me like you know, like, damn, bro, I gotta be more careful who I'm around and what I do, and you never know who paying attention and shit too. So if you see a nigga really paying attention to everything you doing, you gotta be, you know, responsible enough to lead that person the right way and shit, cause they'll get into shit that they see you doing and don't have the knowledge and the experience of it, and that shit could backfire on them. You feel me?
Mm-hmm. So in a song where there was Baby Boy, you dedicated to your mother?
Yeah.
Or you said your grandfather killed your grandmother?
Yeah. So when my mama she was a little girl, like my grandfather, he like mixed, but he think he white. Yeah, he white. He not mixed, he's white. But my grandmother, she African American, so they having like from my understanding, my mom was like my auntie on my mama's side, which is my grandmother's sister. She didn't, her and my grandfather didn't see eye to eye, you know what I'm saying? So yeah. From my understanding, she called him a nigga lover or something like that. They saying they got into an argument, basically. They get into an argument, he pull out his gun and start shooting, and he mistakenly hit my grandmother or whatever. But after that, he ended up going down for some drug charges and getting like 99 years. And he went to Angola, and he been he did like 25 years, I think, somewhere between there, and he ended up getting paroled out. Cause back then, I think like if you get a certain amount of time, like a lot of time, and you do like 20 to 25 years, that's considered like you eligible for parole on that shit, like, you know what I'm saying? So he ended up making parole, so he out now.
Have you spoken to him?
Yeah, I done spoken to him a couple of times, but I ain't really know him like that, you know what I'm saying? You know, but my mom and them cool with it, so, you know, like, I just look at it like, you know, shit happens and shit, you know what I'm saying? And he had to deal with the fact of, like, being locked up all them years and, you know what I'm saying, like, not being there for your daughters and shit, so, you know, I believe in forgiving people. My mama forgave him, so, you know what I'm saying? We cool.
Mm-hmm. All right, so you started rapping. What made you start rapping?
Man, you know, like, I feel like any street nigga, you know, I ain't gonna say street nigga, I'm gonna say, you come from the streets and, you know, music is like therapeutic, you know what I'm saying? That shit like back then, like, you know, right now, like, we got Instagram, you got Twitter, you got Facebook, YouTube, so you could go watch your favorite artist, or you could watch that shit all day. Yeah. But like, music and shit, videos, you know, that's the only way we could connect, just through CDs and shit. You ain't really have all the internet back then, so you had to. So if you like something, you like a certain type of music, you gonna listen to that shit all day, and that shit gonna either like inspire you to like try to make music sometimes, or want to make music, or, you know, it inspire you to want to get fresh, or, you know, it depends on what type of music you listen to. And like, I grew up on a lot of Cash Money, No Limit. I just always liked the music and shit. So like, when I got probably about 14, I'm gonna say a little older than that. I was like probably about 16, you know, I started freestyling, just hearing beats and shit. Started freestyling and shit, but I never took that shit serious. Mm-hmm. So when I made like, man, let me see, probably about 18, that's when I really started just going to the studio a lot, like just, you know, spending a lot of time in that bitch going to Gus at Bottom Line or whatever. And then I just started freestyling and shit. And then I heard that nigga Jeezy. When I heard that Jeezy,
what one that Trap Die?
Man, it was the Trap Die. Yeah, I had bought that back then, that one nigga had the double den TV in they car, the DVDs and shit. So I ended up buying one from a nigga. And that bitch had the Jeezy CD in there. So when I turned that bitch on, I think that motherfucking Air Forces came on. When I heard that bitch, I said, oh shit. You know, this nigga talking that shit. So that was like, damn, this what we on? Like, you know, like, I ain't gonna lie, I was a young nigga. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was a young nigga, so I wasn't on the level that he was on, you know what I'm saying? But the shit he was talking, he broke that shit down to the, you know what I'm saying? Like, Yeah, to the slums, to the point where I could visualize some of the shit he do. You know, some shit he did, that shit resonate with me and the life I was living. So that right there just like stuck with me. Like I'm like, shit, I could talk about that same type of shit like on my level though. And then that's when I really just started fucking with that shit hard. And then my music ended up getting in the hands of the nigga who used to cut my hair.
Yeah.
And then he ended up putting one of his people on it. And his people who later ended up being a nigga named G, that's who introduced me to Fee over there at Black Balloon.
Mm-hmm.
The nigga G heard my shit and called me and was like, man, I want to pass the music down to my partner. He passed it down and then Fee ended up hitting me up. We linked up and the rest is history.
Alright, so Cash Money Reincarnated. What the meaning of that? Why you decided to name it?
At first it was Cash Money Reincarnated.
Mm-hmm.
It was, the CMR stood for Cash Money Reincarnated, it wasn't like a diss, like a shot at them or nothing. It was just, but I later found out that's how Stunner took it when he heard about it. Like, you know what I'm saying? So out of respect for them, you know what I'm saying, I changed it to Cars, Money, and Rolexes, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, but the start of it came from me just like before I got out of jail. I end up coming across this producer named Hitman. He from Baltimore. I ended up coming across him, and then I ended up telling him to make me some beats, and I send him a list of these Cash Money beats. You know what I'm saying? Like shit that niggas ain't think to remake, and he got to remaking them bitches and shit. So he started remaking them beats and shit, sending them to me, and then just something just got to coming to me like, man, CMR, man, I'm CMR living, but I never had. I had the words CMR, but I never had an acronym for them. Yeah. So I just was like, man, Cash Money Reincarnated. You know what I'm saying? That's what I was thinking based off of the beats I was using. Like we reinventing this shit, but you know, reincarnated, like you dead, you died. So I ain't want to make it seem like, you know. So one day we posted shit. We never put the meaning of it at the time. Somebody came and was like, Cars, Money, Rolexes. And I was like, oh yeah, that shit hard. You know what I'm saying? So somebody else really, like a random fan ended up just saying Cars, Money, Rolexes. I'm like, shit, yeah, I'm gonna roll with that. You feel me? Like.
So who signed to the label?
Well, actually signed to CMR is, we only got one artist, and that's SOD Litman. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else is just like affiliate, like a nigga scream CMR. That's like how Dipset and Young Money, like you had niggas all over the world screaming that shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's a lifestyle. So anybody could be a part of the shit. But as far as like actually signed, we only got SOD Litman.
All right. One of the people you had worked with that passed away was named Bambino Gold.
Yeah.
What you can tell us about him?
Man, bro, good dude, bro. He was like a little brother. Well, I'm gonna say big brother because he older than me. He was like a brother though, just period. Like when I first met that nigga, it was DJ 5150 had you know, he reached out to me or whatever, and then I shout out to the ATL to go link with him, and he linked me with a couple more people from out there and shit, and we in the studio and we all link up, and it was me. And he was one of the guys there, Block 125. He came, what the name is, Mike Will made it. This before Mike Will took off. He was the producer. He was at the studio, and we had a couple other people. Cali Ovar from New Orleans, he was there. So we all meeting up for that night to do some records for 5150. And man, that nigga just, once we linked up, you know what I'm saying? Like we just, you know, that shit just became like organic, how we just started linking, just fucking around. Every time I go out there, I link with that nigga and shit. We move around and shit. He got a nigga in the city, you know, introducing the nigga to different artists and shit like that. So we just got cool over the years. Like that shit was like in 2009. You know what I'm saying? So I've been fucking with him ever since then, like 2009, 2010. But he was a good nigga though, man. Rest in peace, Bambino.
All right, another person you had worked with that passed away, BTY Young.
Yeah, like while I was in jail on my jokes, him and Fee got real close. So Fee always telling me about him and shit. And he like, man, that nigga remind me of you. That nigga, you know what I'm saying? That nigga he a real nigga, bro. That nigga, you know what I'm saying? Like I really fuck with dudes. So when he tell me that, I'm like, shit, yeah, I'm fucking with him then. So, but I done heard about this nigga alone, like on both of my jokes that I keep hearing. Like every nigga you meet from New Orleans, that's one of the niggas they gonna bring up. Like when it comes to the rap shit, and he really like that. You feel me? So, you know, like everybody used to be telling me about the nigga. So when I finally get to meet him, I'm in work release and shit. We get on the phone, we chop it up and shit, and he ended up having a record he wanted me on, and this shit crazy. I'm at the work release and they sent a van. My dog Ryan set the studio up and he pull up on a van with the studio, and I jump on there and do my verse for him or whatever. And we had put the song out while I was still in work release, put that bitch on his album and shit, you know what I'm saying? That shit there had the niggas in the city like, yeah, you know, I hear you on that bitch or whatever. So niggas seen that, you know, we fucked it with each other and whatever. So when I came home in February, and we linked up, did a couple records and shit. So, you know, it was just like a genuine relationship though. Like, we were real cool though, my nigga.
Alright, the word loyalty. What that mean to you?
Loyalty, man, to me, loyalty represents a person that fuck with you either, you know, through the good, the bad, the ugly. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that's gonna be a good representation of you and for you, either with or without your presence. You feel me?
Yeah.
And like, you ain't gonna find too many people that's loyal to you. You know what I'm saying? And I learned how to separate that shit from love. You know what I'm saying? Cause niggas throw that word love around a whole lot, but you don't hear niggas saying, oh, I'm loyal, you know, every day. You don't hear that word. You ain't gonna hear too many niggas speak on how loyal a nigga is to them, cause it ain't too many niggas like that. So, you know, that loyalty, like that's something that it take time for you to really realize what that mean and start placing that, giving people that title, you feel me? So that loyalty is everything.
Hey, what you tell these younger dudes that want to be in the street about the street life?
That want to be in the street, like, at the end of the day, man, like, if you want to be in the streets, that means you don't have to be in the streets. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, the people that's really in the streets, nigga really ain't got no choice. So the shit that's coming with that, they automatically taking that shit and rolling with it. You feel me? Because they ain't got no choice. But, yeah, you want to be in the streets and you don't have to be in the streets. Just know, like, the shit you seeing on the internet and the shit you putting out there, bro, that shit gonna come back and you just gotta be prepared for it. Just don't be prepared for, you know, a name and some fame and you know, respect. Because when you in the streets, man, that shit come, but at the same time, the lessons and the losses that come with it, you gotta be prepared for that shit. Because if you ain't, that shit gonna sink you under, and then your reputation as a street nigga gonna be gone. If you can't deal with the consequences of the streets, you feel me? At the end of the day, that's what it's really all about. Like, just know what you can handle before you get into it at the end of the day. Cause the streets, you know, this shit getting worse and worse. I ain't gonna lie, it's getting worse.
Alright, man, let's go on and wrap it up. Who you want to shout out?
Man, I want to shout out everybody that fuck with me, man. Anybody, whether female, male, you know what I'm saying? Anybody out there that fuck with me and support anything I do, anything I got going on, anybody around me, man, I want to shout y'all out. You know what I'm saying? I want to shout out, you know, basically like what I say, shit, you know what I'm saying? I'm just going to shout out everybody that fuck with me, man. You know
what people can expect you in the near future?
Well, I'm finna go ahead and get ready to drop some more music. And this time I'm gonna get this shit like a real little run, you know what I'm saying? I'm putting the records together. And I'm gonna just use all my resources and try to really just go in, because like when you really was like when you a nigga that like me, man, this shit be switching up so much. I never really put all my time and energy in it, because like when you see certain shit and you used to certain shit, you look at that shit like that ain't a game you want to play. So it's easy to fall back. But now I see like I done learned a whole lot just being behind the scenes and shit. So I'm knowing like instead of try to just jump on a Ferris wheel, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna just go ahead and give y'all some shit that's for the people that fuck with me. You know what I'm saying? Because the only people that can really put motherfuckers on to you and grow your fan base is the people that fuck with you. You feel me? So I just do it for the people that fucking with me. So that shit just gonna spread out. You feel me? And I want to shout out my dog, man. Before we get out here, check him out TV, man. Y'all make sure y'all check this out.